Welcome to Nico Props. I'm Chris Fry, also known as Nicodemus. This video is all going to be about creating these vintage style effect signs. I'll try and give you a closer view of that. Hopefully you can see that. And it's not just restricted to this style. Let me get this one off the wall. I did a Nuka-Cola bottle cap as well. I've done Sprite, I've done all sorts of different colours, same process, and that's what we're going to go through today. Okay, so we're going to be using the a pre-made sign that I just bought from a store. I bought it at the Range in the UK. You can probably get this in like Walmart or something like that if you're in the US or somewhere else. Rubbing it back to show up some of the metal on the edges. Bare metal. I'm using a masking fluid here, which is basically liquid latex. They call it masking fluid, but it's basically liquid latex. You could use liquid latex for this, or even I've seen people use things like mustard as a masking agent as well, or toothpaste is another very good one. The idea of this is it sits underneath the paint, and then at a later stage when we do the sanding we can pick it off to create a chipping effect on the paint, giving it a coating of primer there, rub it over with some wire wool so that it's keyed in, ready to take the next colour. The idea and the trick with this prop or design piece, whatever you want to call it, is the layers of colour. So when you later on go to chip away the paint and things like that, it shows up those different layers of colour. And this is sort of the layers of colour they would have done on vintage signs anyway. So I've got an antique white here, so it's almost a yellowy kind of colour. And then I'm lightening it up a bit with some white. It's dried now, so over the top with some black. I like using these Plasticoat spray paints. They set really fast actually, usually about half an hour, and you can put another coat on. So in order to put the design on there, I need to mask it off. So what I'm going to do, or what I'm doing here, is sticking some vinyl onto a card from my Cricut maker machine to cut out the design for me. So this is just a logo for a restaurant that I had. Long story, we won't go into that at this stage. But it's just, I'm going to be using this as a mask, so it cuts it all out for me. And then all I've got to do is take it over here and do some weeding. This is called weeding, where you take out all of the bits that you don't want, or that you want the paint to go through. So carefully going through this. It's a bit tricky actually, because sometimes you can't even see where the cuts are. Put some tape on there to transfer it. It's called transfer tape. And onto the sign with it, being very careful, trying not to do any bubbles or anything like that, which is why I'm gently working it across. Get it on there. Once it's all on there, I gave it a roll over with a roller. Bit creasy, but it should be fine. Take off the tape and then mask around the outside edge of that, because obviously it only covered the middle and we don't want to paint everything. And then we're going to go back to give it a bit hit of black. The reason I gave it that hit of black is so that if it's going to seep under the edges of the stencil, it seeps under the edge the same colour as everything else. And then it sets, I let it set so that this white won't bleed through. This is that antique white again. Trying to make sure that I don't go too heavy-handed so it's not too yellow. And remove the stencil very carefully. And I'm hoping with this, as I remove the tape and things, I'm not being too worried about scratching it, because it's just going to add to the effect. So I'm using a Stanley knife here to actually pick out this stuff. So it doesn't matter if it chips and some of the writing comes away, it just adds to the effect. So you can actually be quite heavy-handed with this. I think actually on this particular side it was quite heavy-handed. So now comes the moment of truth. We've got our paint job. You can see there's some chipping and stuff there. There's a bit missing off that R. I think I'd like to to scrape that off. So that's what I end up doing. Using some tissue, I rub it over, which helps remove some of that masking fluid. I use the Stanley knife as well to get rid of some of it and peel it up and crack it. And you can kind of see those multiple layers of paint coming through, which is what we want, basically. So once I've finished with that, I'll go onto some sandpaper as well, just to kind of knock off the corners, you know, like it's been in transit or whatever, and, you know, bash it about with a hammer. It needs some dents and things. It needs to be lived. This is telling the story. This is called weathering in the prop world. So now we've got the metals showing bare. Now it's time to spray it with some white vinegar. So what this is going to do is going to attack the metal that's exposed. You can also put a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in there as well, which can help. I have found on flat metals it's not as good as when you use iron filings and you spray it on that. But this vinegar is basically going to attack that metal. So we spray it on there, leave it overnight or 24 hours or something, and then you come back to it and it should be all nice and rusted up for you. So 24 hours later, and we are going to be getting something like that. So you can see there's different depths of rusting there. Some areas didn't get as much as others. That's absolutely perfect. Look at that nice big area there. It's great. The only thing with it is it's quite raw at the moment. It could be rubbed off. It's going to be quite easy to do that. So next, going to give it a quick rub over. Get rid of some of that rust, so we show some of that metal through, but not all of it, so it looks a bit more aged rather than just rusted. Pop it on a block, and then using some clear coat, just the plastic coat stuff again. You can use car clear coat, it's absolutely fine. Car paints are absolutely fine for this, you just got to make sure they set properly. And then you just let it set. Thank you so much for watching. It's fantastic that you've seen it all the way through to the end. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit the notifications icon, like the video. There's going to be some other videos down here. Subscribe button will be here somewhere, maybe, I think, possibly. Hit that button. Obviously share it, because, you know, all these subscriptions and things help me as a creator. I'm not currently earning any money from the YouTube channel, other than the links, which is not giving me a lot either. On that note, there are links to all of the products that I used in this video in the description below. Catch you on the next one.